Hello, and thank you to the Hamilton Steelworkers Area Council for inviting us to be part of this International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. And thank you for keeping up that struggle year after year, as long as it's necessary. So we are Independent Jewish Voices. We're an organization of over 1,000 Jews all across Canada, from Halifax to Victoria and right here in Hamilton. My name is David Mivasair, and I'm a rabbi. And it means a lot to us to be part of this today, to be able to be part of the struggle to eliminate racial discrimination in all of its forms against any people that it manifests against. And this is something that Jews have known for centuries. We've experienced racial discrimination, really, throughout our history, going back even thousands of years. And we've learned a few things through all that time. We've been able to gather wisdom from our historical experience. But I want to talk about that, but I'm not going to go back centuries. I'm not going to go back even 1 century. And I'm not going to go very far away to start talking about racial discrimination. I learned recently that right here in Hamilton, when the lovely neighborhood of Westdale was first built, there actually was a covenant, a clause in the deed of the person who owned the property and sold pieces of property. I'll read it. The deed said, "None of the lands shall be used or occupied by, or let, or sold to Negroes, Asiatics, Bulgarians, Austrians, Russians, Serbs, Romanians, Turks, Armenians, whether British subjects or not, or foreign-born Italians, Greeks, or Jews." There's an article called Westdale's Dirty Little Secret. And I'm saying this just to point out that this is not a problem that's someplace far away that happens to other people. It's right here, and of course it's going on today, otherwise we wouldn't be needing to talk about it. I'd like to share just a couple stories that I learned as a Jewish person and I've taught as a rabbi. One of them goes back literally thousands of years. It's the foundational story of the Jewish people. It's the story that our ancestors were slaves in Egypt. Slaves, laboring, slave labor for 400 years. And during the course of 400 years, they never, ever gave up hope. They never, ever forgot who they were. And they never thought that that was their fate and it wouldn't change. And what happened is they cried out, they resisted, and the time came to go, and they escaped en masse. And with them, many, many other people escaped from slavery. And as they were running from slavery, this is one of my lessons, the Pharaoh's army chased them to bring them back. And they cried, and they were desperate. And Moses cried out to God to save them. And you can read right in the Bible. God says, "Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to do what they need to do." And in that story, as they're running away from Egypt, they come to the shore of the Red Sea. And God says, "You'll see what I'll do for you. You'll pass through the sea." Nothing happened. The Pharaoh's army is coming closer and closer. The people are screaming and crying, "What's going to happen? What's going to happen?" And it took one person to walk into the water, up to his knees, up to his chest, up to his nose. And when he got up to his nose, the water parted. So these are 2 old Jewish stories that I can learn from. One, you can't expect anybody else to save you. There's no one who's going to come and save us. It is we together in our solidarity, our understanding, our being with each other, our seeing this as a common struggle. We've got to do it, right? We can gain strength and we can have courage from each other and maybe from beyond. But the problem's got to get solved here in this world by us. And then that second lesson is sometimes you just have to walk ahead, wade into the water, go in deeper, just keep going. Don't give up, keep pushing. And eventually it'll happen and you can get through. So those are two stories. I want to go back even farther, talking about racial discrimination. There's a beautiful story in our Bible that says when God created the world, God started with a single, solitary human being. And it says that God created that human in God's image, male and female. Now, our old scholars asked the question, if God could create the world full of people, why did God create the world with just one person? And the answer they gave was exactly this, about racial discrimination. This is an answer from 2,000 years ago about a story that's well over 1,000 years older than that. And they said, God created the world with one person only, so that later no one could say, my people are better than your people. My lineage is more honorable than your lineage. Somehow or another, we are better than you. We deserve more than you. We have more rights than you do. We can rule over you. No one can say that. In our story, the whole world began with just one person. And there's a teaching in that we are truly all sisters and brothers. We're all in this world together. We're actually all one family, all one people. And the whole concept of racial discrimination itself is quite bizarre, and it needs to be eliminated. It is the time for that. And we, God willing, will work together, step by step, year after year, in every possible way we can to bring that about. Just before I close, I think there might be a lot of people here connected with the NDP. I want to mention two specific things that my organization, Independent Jewish Voices, is supporting as the NDP convention is coming. There are two resolutions that we think will be very helpful around the issues that we most care about to help eliminate racial discrimination in different places. One of those resolutions is actually about Canada's relationship with Palestine. It's a resolution calling for Canada to stop its trade relationship with illegal Israeli settlements in Palestine that hold down the Palestinians, actually steal their land, basically lock them into something like a big prison. And Canada has perfectly open trade relationships with them. Canada supports the businesses in the settlements, buys and sells. So one resolution is to stop that. And I'm hoping that anybody here connected to the NDP will talk with people who are going to be delegates to the NDP convention and encourage them to support that resolution. There's another resolution which purports to be about anti-Semitism. And there's a thing that people are saying that in order to stop anti-Semitism, we need to stop criticism of Israel. They call that IHRA. It's a thing to try to stop criticism of Israel by labeling it as anti-Semitism. So a resolution is coming to the NDP convention opposing that idea. There's a resolution saying no. The NDP does not buy that story. It's important for all of us to be able to call out injustice wherever we see it. And that is not anti-Semitism. So I'm just going to close simply by asking you, if you're connected to the NDP, if you know people who are delegates to the convention, ask them, please, to vote for that resolution about ending Canadian economic ties with illegal Israeli settlements and to vote for the resolution saying no, that IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, it's not real. We don't support it. It doesn't make safety for Jewish people or anyone else. The way to end anti-Semitism is to end all racism, all discrimination, all hatred, and not something that's actually kind of fake. I thank you again very much for giving us some time here to talk together. I hope the 2 little lessons I brought from Jewish traditions are helpful. We're in this together. We solve the problems here in this world, and sometimes we just got to keep on walking ahead before we can see the changes that we're trying to bring about. Thank you very much.